You've been completely lied to about the actual cost of your food. Every single time you walk into a premium supermarket and happily pay $6 for a box of name-brand cereal or $5 for a loaf of bread, you aren't paying for better nutrition or higher quality. You are funding a massive, carefully engineered marketing illusion. I know this sounds crazy, but stick with me. For the last 15 years, I've worked intimately behind the scenes as a food supply chain auditor and consumer economics consultant. I've been inside the processing plants. I've analyzed the raw ingredient manifests, and I know exactly how the biggest grocery conglomerates in America engineer their price tags to drain your wallet. Right now, you are probably feeling the pinch. You're scanning your weekly grocery receipt, wondering how a couple of bags of basic survival items suddenly cost as much as a car payment. You're exhausted from trying to stretch a dollar that just keeps shrinking. But what if I told you that the ultimate hack to beating this system isn't clipping coupons or buying in bulk? What if the exact same calories, macronutrients, and even the exact same manufacturing lines were hiding in plain sight, just wearing a cheaper label? That thought led me to do something that most people would call absolute insanity. I completely abandoned my regular supermarket. For an entire week, I replaced every single one of my groceries with exclusive, private label brands from Dollar Tree. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. 7 days of eating nothing but food sourced from the ultimate discount retailer. Now, you might be asking yourself if I ended up horribly sick, or if the meals tasted like salted cardboard. That is exactly what the big grocery brands want you to think. They spend billions of dollars on advertising to condition you into believing that extreme discount means dangerous or disgusting. Here is the secret they are terrified you will figure out. A massive percentage of the packaged food sold at discounters like Dollar Tree is manufactured in the exact same regional facilities as the premium brands you are currently shelling out top dollar for. The differences usually aren't in the safety standards or the core ingredients. The differences are in the packaging, the corporate marketing budgets, and the specific weight formulations. But it gets wilder. When I unpacked my first $50 haul from Dollar Tree, I realized I had to approach this experiment like a supply chain scientist, not just a guy trying to save a buck. I started cross-referencing the ingredient lists, the nutritional macros, and the manufacturer distribution codes stamped on the back of the Dollar Tree boxes against the premium items sitting in my pantry. What I found in the snack aisle alone is going to make you furious at your local grocery store manager. If you want to see the exact breakdown of how these supply chains overlap and learn how to stop overpaying for basic necessities, hit that subscribe button. Because what I discovered on day 2 of this Dollar Tree diet completely shattered everything I thought I knew about the American food system. And that was before I even attempted to cook their discount frozen steaks. That frozen steak I mentioned? I honestly didn't think I'd survive it. When you buy a piece of meat from a discount store for $1.50, your brain immediately screams, "This is not food." But I sat down with my infrared thermometer and a kitchen scale to treat this like a real scientific study. I seared it, I seasoned it, and I prepared myself for the worst. And here's where things get truly bizarre. It wasn't the flavor profile of a 5-star Wagyu, but it was chemically and texturally identical to the frozen Salisbury steak you pick up at the high-end chain for 3 times the price. I'm looking at the ingredient label, and it's the exact same filler-to-protein ratio. The secret isn't that Dollar Tree is using bad food. The secret is that the mainstream grocery industry has successfully convinced you that if you pay more, you're automatically getting better. But it gets deeper than just the taste. I started tracking the unit pricing on everything in my cart. You've been trained to look at the big, bold price tag, right? You see a box of crackers for $1.25 and think it's a steal. But once you actually calculate the price per ounce, you realize that for certain items, you are actually paying a premium for the convenience of buying a smaller, travel-sized portion. Some items were an absolute steal, saving me nearly 60% compared to my local big box warehouse club. Other items, they were actually priced higher per ounce because of that hidden shrink-down tactic. Now, you might be asking yourself, why would a company do that? It's about psychological anchoring. They know that when you are shopping at a store where everything is $1, your internal calculator turns off. You stop comparing prices because you assume the store is inherently cheaper. That is the trap. I realize that if you walk into these stores without a spreadsheet and a sharp eye for net weight, you aren't saving money. You're just being efficiently marketed to in a different environment. I spent the next 3 days forcing myself to eat strictly from this stockpile. My family and friends thought I had lost it. They were sending me articles about the potential risks of discount food processing. And frankly, I started to feel the social pressure. There is a real, tangible stigma associated with buying your groceries at a store that sells party supplies and toilet plungers. But as I moved through the week, the fog started to lift. I stopped looking at the brand logos and started looking at the nutrition facts. I stopped caring about the fancy packaging and started caring about the actual weight of the product inside. But then, I hit a massive wall. By day 4, my Dollar Tree diet started to show its cracks, and it had nothing to do with the flavor. I realized that my energy levels were fluctuating in ways I hadn't expected. I felt full, but I didn't feel nourished. I started to notice a pattern in the ingredient list that I had completely missed when I was just looking at the price tags. And that is when I realized that while I might have been winning the battle of the wallet, I was starting to lose the war on my health. If you've ever wondered why it's so difficult to eat cheap and healthy at the same time, the answer I found in those aisles is going to change the way you shop for your family forever. Stay with me, because what I discovered about the hidden ingredients in these discount aisles is exactly why so many people end up spending more on healthcare later. The ingredient lists I scanned by day 5 were a masterclass in preservative technology. If you look closely at many of the items in those discount aisles, you'll see the same pattern: high sodium counts, long lists of fillers, and very few whole foods. I wasn't just saving pennies. I was effectively trading my long-term nutritional health for short-term cash flow. But here is the nuance that the big box stores don't want you to calculate. You don't have to choose between going broke and eating like a king. The real hack isn't replacing your entire grocery list with discount brands. It's about weaponizing your budget. After analyzing my data and checking my receipts, I found the Goldilocks zone. There are certain items, paper products, spices, baking supplies, and specific shelf-stable dry goods, where the Dollar Tree brand is identical to the premium version, just without the flashy logo. But for anything fresh, anything that involves dairy, meat, or complex produce, that is where you have to draw the line. If you are trying to survive solely on discount store food, you are going to spend the money you saved on a grocery bill at a pharmacy or a doctor's office later. That is just the cold, hard math of food economics. So, what is the final verdict? I survived the week, and my wallet was definitely happier. But my body was begging for a real salad by the time Friday rolled around. The ultimate takeaway from this experiment is that you need to be a hybrid shopper. Take your list, compare the unit prices, and be smart about where you spend your money. Don't be afraid to walk into a discount store and buy the basics, but keep your standards high for the food that actually fuels your life. You have the power to control your food budget, but only if you stop letting these stores control your shopping habits. If you want to see the specific spreadsheet I use to calculate my savings, and the list of items that are actually better to buy at a discount, I've linked it in the description below. And if you're tired of overpaying for groceries and want more investigations that actually save you real money, make sure you're subscribed. Because the grocery stores are hoping you'll keep shopping blind. But next week, We're going to expose the next big lie they've been telling you about your fresh produce. I'll see you there.